Have you ever noticed that really kind of genuinely strange phenomenon where a sister or like a close colleague gets their period and suddenly your own body just responds?
Oh, yeah. Completely out of the blue.
Right. You might start getting those deeply familiar symptoms, or you even start bleeding yourself completely off your usual schedule. And we
Yeah.
usually just wave it away, right? Like, oh, it's just a quirky biological coincidence.
Yeah, we totally write it off. Western medicine especially kind of trains us to view the body as this isolated machine.
Exactly. Like symptoms are just these localized glitches that we need to manage.
Mhm.
But for you, the listener who shared today's notes with us, this whole syncing thing raised a much larger question. Like, is there something way deeper happening under the surface?
And it is such a profound question to ask. Because the source material we're looking at today invites us to step entirely outside of that clinical box. We are looking through a very different, much older lens.
Yeah, so our mission for this deep dives is to basically explore this wild intersection of biology, ancestral memory, and spirituality.
Right.
We're drawing from a Substack article called The Woman in the Mirror.
Right, which was published in the Sacred Return Journal.
Yep, by Dr. Nomasantu Mensil. She's a sacred relationship healer, and she proposes this framework where women might actually carry emotional pain that doesn't even originate with them.
Which is a huge paradigm shift.
It really is. And she suggests a radical change in how we relate to physical discomfort, like moving away from that constant urge to just fix it and moving toward this practice as simply witnessing it.
And to really understand the mechanics of this framework, we have to start with how Dr. Nansil interprets what the body is actually doing during a menstrual cycle.
Okay, lay it out for us.
Well, she uses a really specific, timely symbol to map this out, which is the full moon. Specifically, she's reflecting on the second full moon in May.
Which is super relevant because that ties us right to today's date, May 30, 2026.
Exactly. And the way she frames the moon is so crucial here because she focuses heavily on what the moon doesn't do.
Right, because the moon doesn't actually generate its own light.
Precisely. It doesn't create anything new in the night sky. Its entire function is just to act as a mirror. It catches the light of the sun and reflects it back to reveal, whatever is usually hidden in the dark.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Yeah, through the lens of her journal, the menstrual cycle functions in that exact same way. She argues that periods act as a biological mirror.
So during a cycle, all those suppressed feelings that we manage to kind of keep quiet during the rest of the month, they just become overwhelmingly loud.
Right. Relational dynamics that we've normalized suddenly become painfully obvious. According to this framework, your body isn't breaking down. It is finally just speaking with absolute, unfiltered honesty.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second with a structural comparison. Because I like to think of the menstrual phase like a massive stress test on a suspension bridge.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Because on a sunny, easy afternoon, you can drive right over that bridge, and you never notice the microscopic cracks in the concrete foundation. Those cracks are, they're the suppressed feelings, the hidden anxieties.
Yeah, they're invisible under normal conditions.
Exactly. But when you apply a massive stress test to that structure, the pressure forces every single hidden vulnerability straight to the surface. You literally cannot ignore them anymore.
That analogy is perfect for her core philosophy. The stress test doesn't magically insert the cracks into the concrete.
No, of course not.
It merely illuminates the structural weaknesses that were sitting there the entire time. The body is just illuminating the dark corners.
Okay, so I understand the logic of the mirror, but I have to push back a little bit on the application here.
Sure, go for it.
If my body is suddenly running this stress test and all these hidden painful issues are surfacing, my immediate human instinct is to want the pain to stop. Like when you see a bridge cracking, your first thought is, how do we patch this before it falls apart?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So why is the instruction in this framework to just sit with it?
Well, that instinct to patch the bridge is completely natural, especially in our culture. We're conditioned to view pain purely as an enemy. But it is important to clarify that Dr. Nensel isn't saying you should ignore physical causes of pain or avoid medical care.
Right, she's not saying don't take an Advil if you have an underlying condition.
Exactly. Rather, she is asking us to temporarily suspend our default reaction. If we accept her premise that the pain is a mirror, we have to remember how mirrors actually operate.
Okay, how do you mean?
Well, when you look in a mirror and you see a smudge on your cheek, you don't blame the glass, and you certainly don't try to scrub the mirror clean.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you wipe your cheek.
Precisely. The goal of this phase, according to her teachings, is radical honesty. It's about letting the body articulate its truth before we just rush in with interventions to silence it.
Okay, so if we operate within this paradigm that the body is a mirror reflecting hidden, unacknowledged pain, the most urgent question becomes, well, if I didn't cause this pain, where did it actually come from?
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Dr. Nitzel connects a very real biological fact to this profound spiritual theory to trace that hidden pain back through generations.
Yeah, the source material focuses on the development of eggs, which is kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it.
It really is.
A female fetus develops all the eggs she will ever carry for her entire lifetime while she is still in the womb. Like, they are completely formed before she even takes her first breath.
And when we trace that biological timeline backward, the implications are just staggering. Think about it. When your grandmother was pregnant, carrying your mother in her womb,
Yeah.
the fetus of your mother already contained the specific egg that would eventually become you.
Wait, really? That means there are 3 generations, all physically connected, existing within a single womb at the exact same time.
Exactly. It's an unbroken physical chain.
That is wild.
And Dr. Nitzel takes this biological chain and builds this beautiful spiritual and emotional framework around it. Because women don't exist in isolation, her theory suggests that they inherit much more than just genetic traits, like, eye color or height.
Right. Under her framework, we are inheriting languages, beliefs, ways of surviving, and ways of carrying trauma.
Yes, all of it.
It honestly makes me think of inheriting a vintage family computer. Like, you aren't just getting the physical hardware that belonged to your grandmother and your mother, you were inheriting their ancient operating system.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
You're getting the old software, all the legacy bugs, and the weird glitches that they accidentally coded into the system decades ago when they were just trying to survive their own lives.
And those legacy bugs are still running silently in the background of your system today. This concept of intergenerational cellular memory brings us all the way back to your opening question about why women's cycles sync up.
Oh, right. The period syncing.
Yeah, in the context of the Sacred Return Journal, women are structurally built as natural connectors. They are literal bridges between generations, carrying the memory of the women who came before them.
So when your colleague gets her period and your body responds, it's not a random glitch at all. Through this lens, it's that deep inherent wiring of connection lighting up. It's responding to the shared rhythm of another carrier.
Which leads to the most pivotal and maybe the heaviest question Dr. Nitzel asks women to consider when they experience recurring, unexplained menstrual pain.
What's the question?
She instructs them to close their eyes, take a breath, and simply ask, whose pain am I carrying?
Wow. Just sitting with the weight of that question feels overwhelming. I mean, if I ask, whose pain am I carrying, and a specific ancestor comes to mind, my immediate fear is that I'm now suddenly responsible for solving their historical trauma.
And the author anticipates that exact fear. The instruction is to approach the question with extreme lightness.
Okay, so not taking it on as a job.
Right. It is not a clinical diagnosis. It is an intuitive exercise. You are asked simply to observe. If a face appears, maybe a grandmother, an aunt, a sister, you don't force an answer and you don't overanalyze the mechanics of it.
Just witness it. What's really fascinating here is that this intergenerational, deeply connected way of viewing the body isn't presented as some modern, New Age revelation.
Not at all.
The source material argues that ancient cultures understood this connection implicitly, to the point where they literally baked it into the foundation of their languages.
The linguistic evidence she provides is so compelling. Dr. Nitzel points out that in certain South African languages, the word for the moon is ingwedi,
Okay.
and the word for a married woman is ingwetsi.
Wait, they share the same root.
They do, yeah. It happens through a linguistic process known as lenition, specifically a type called bagadkafat.
Okay, let's break down why that actually matters for the listener, because otherwise it just sounds like we're giving a phonetics lecture.
Fair point.
Why does the softening of a consonant from a D in Ingwedi to a T's in Ingwedi prove a deep cultural connection?
Because language evolves based on how a culture categorizes reality. When a consonant softens like that to create a new word from the exact same root, it shows that the culture views the two concepts as fundamentally intertwined.
So it's not a coincidence.
Right. The moon and the woman share the same linguistic DNA because, in this cosmology, they share the exact same cyclical reality. It wasn't just a poetic metaphor for them, it was an acknowledged fact embedded right in their daily vocabulary.
That is so cool.
Mm.
And she also anchors this in African cosmological teachings regarding astrology, right?
Mm.
Because she knows that this current full moon is in Sagittarius.
Yes. And in many of these cosmological frameworks, Sagittarius is deeply associated with the archetype of the healer.
Okay, I have to admit, I struggled with this part of the framework initially.
Why is that?
Well, when we hear the word healer in a modern context, we instantly picture a fixer, like a doctor who diagnoses a problem, hands you a prescription, and sends you on your way.
Right, the Western medical model.
Yeah. But doesn't that directly contradict the entire mirror concept we just talked about?
Yeah.
If the mirror isn't supposed to be scrubbed or fixed, what is the healer actually doing here?
That tension between the Western fixer and the cosmological healer is the absolute crux of Dr. Ansell's message. We have to completely redefine the archetype.
Okay, how do we do that?
Think about the symbol of Sagittarius, the archer. The archer aims an arrow toward the horizon, seeking truth. In this specific framework, a healer is not someone who patches the cracks in the bridge.
Right.
A healer is someone who shines a light on the cracks so they can be seen clearly.
Oh, I get it. So the healer is the witness.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
The healer brings awareness to what requires attention. So going back to that heavy question, when you ask, whose pain am I carrying? And an ancestor's name pops into your head, life is not assigning you a repair job for their past trauma.
Thank goodness.
Right. You are not meant to fix their legacy bugs. You are simply being invited to witness a pattern that has run unconsciously in your family line for generations.
Okay, that reframing entirely removes the burden of having to, cure your ancestry. But for you listening right now, how do we translate this high-level spiritual theory into practical reality?
That's the million-dollar question.
Like, if you are sitting on the couch with a heating pad, dealing with severe discomfort, how do you actually apply this witness archetype in the moment?
Dr. Netzel provides a very specific roadmap for the moment you are in the thick of it. And it starts with a deliberate pause.
A pause.
Yeah. The very next time your body speaks through that discomfort, before your brain can automatically ask, how do I make this stop? You intentionally change the question. You ask, what is this trying to show me?
Wow. That pause interrupts the whole cycle of viewing your body as an enemy.
Exactly. And if you ask that question and a specific woman does come to mind, Dr. Netzel suggests a journaling practice.
Let's get practical.
But rather than just writing down a list of biographical facts about this ancestor, the overarching theme of her prompts is about mapping their emotional history onto your present life.
Okay, so what are we actually writing about?
The practice is designed to foster profound empathy without judgment. You are prompted to look at the specific qualities and struggles that woman carried throughout her life. But the critical step is then turning the mirror back onto yourself.
Ah, right. Identifying where those exact same survival patterns or defensive mechanisms are playing out in your own behavior today.
Yes.
You are looking at the legacy software and asking, where is this program still running in my daily life? And finally, asking what part of that pattern is crying out for understanding right now.
It's an exercise in shifting your internal environment from hostility to curiosity. And, for those who find this framework really resonates and want to explore the spiritual, emotional, and ancestral dimensions of womanhood even deeper, Dr. Ansell actually mentions a way to do that.
Right. She is opening a 12-week coaching program called Redefine Womanhood, which starts shortly after this moon on June 17th, 2026.
Yeah.
It's described as a guided exploration into the spiritual essence of being a woman, designed for a small, intentional space. So if you're looking for that kind of radical empowerment, that's out there.
Which aligns perfectly with the core thesis of her work. Because if you undergo an exploration like that, you arrive at the final, poignant takeaway from the source material.
Because
The mirror does not ask us to fix what we see, but to see it clearly. In this paradigm, awareness itself is the medicine.
awareness itself is the medicine. I love that. Let's just quickly recap the journey we've taken through these sources today, because we covered a lot of ground.
You really did.
We started with the physical phenomenon of period syncing, and we used the symbol of the full moon to understand the body as an honest mirror that reveals our hidden stress fractures.
And then we examined the biological reality of 3 generations coexisting in a single womb.
That part still blows my mind.
Right. And how the author uses that biology to propose that we inherit the legacy software and survival strategies of our mothers and grandmothers.
We looked at the profound linguistic roots that tie the cycles of the moon to the cycles of a woman in South African languages. We unpacked the true nature of the healer archetype, and we explored the immense shifting power of pausing to ask your body, whose pain am I carrying?
It really is an invitation to stop fighting the symptoms and to start listening to the historical stories they might be trying to tell us.
It is. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final, lingering thought to mull over on your own.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, we've spent this entire time exploring how our bodies might carry and express the unresolved pain and the harsh survival strategies of our ancestors. We've looked at the microscopic stress test on the bridge.
Right.
But if this concept of cellular memory holds true, and the mirror of the body really does reflect what is hidden deep inside our lineage, could our bodies also be carrying their moments of profound unresolved joy?
Oh, wow.
Right. Could we be biologically carrying their unrealized dreams and their capacities for immense love? What would it look like and how would it actually feel if you stopped bracing for pain and instead tried to tune your body into that frequency?